You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omosola, where creativity is showcased in its many dimensions. A time to celebrate, empower, inspire, and equip creatives with thought-provoking interviews and up-to-date information.
Welcome to Unleash Ur Cre8tivity, the show where we explore creativity in its many dimensions. I say this every week, so I know my followers or people who listen all the time should be able to say this by heart. It is very important that I say that because I don't want to take it for granted, and I'm hoping that every week I get new people listening to me and wondering what this show is about. So those of you that hear it every week, please bear with me. Now, there are 4 key things that I really, focus on is where we have set the keyword, we showcase, we breathe, we live, we embrace, we enjoy, and we celebrate. The celebration part is the tangible that we see every week when I bring a guest on board to share their nuggets, to share their wealth of experience so that we can glean, we can learn. So whether it's a hobby, a passion, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're not even sure and you just want to have an idea by listening to other people, you definitely are in the right place. Well, last week we had a well of a time. I had a well of a time learning and understanding lots of things. I'm in the business world, but boy, oh boy, did I learn a lot. And if you were here last week, I'm going to do this way. We had Dr. Joybert here last week, but I promised that I was going to go away and learn how to pronounce the name that he loves us to call him. And and now I'm nervous now. So it's Javnyuy. Did I get that? How close was I? Yes. Hey, if you were listening, I've done my homework. Last week was power-packed because what we did last week was different for me, was to go deep down and delve into the foundation that we don't see, but is really the pillar on which every other thing sits on. So we talked about mindset, talked about motivation, talked about discipline, self-mastery, the power of the brain. We talked about procrastination. We talked about execution. So there was a lot. We talked about challenges, and every topic that we spoke about, we actually weaved our guest's life into it. So they were not just theory, they were based on practical examples to drive them home for us. So for those of you who missed it, you better go catch it on Spotify when it's released. And there was another light bulb moment that I had. I was excited, when I found out that my guest is also an ordained minister. And as a believer myself, and some of you who are Christians, there was that merge of crystal clear light bulb moments of we don't separate. We live the both worlds of faith and business. So that was a real eye-opener. So I'm just giving a synopsis of what we spoke about last week as we delve into today. What I'm doing today is I'm going to be reading off his bio chunks as we have conversations. So that's how I'm going to play it today. But just as a summary, he helps people build and monetize their thought leadership, brand, and credibility for global opportunities through his signature framework. He's a 7-time founder, a 7-time author, a 5-time LinkedIn top voice. He's traveled 20 nations to speak. And as I said, he's a commissioned minister of the gospel. I'm very excited. And at this point, I am going to say, you are welcome to the show once again.
Thank you so much for having me. And of course, I'm looking forward to another chit chat with you that will really challenge somebody, encourage somebody, and of course, just exchange so that we can have a good time as we live this life that God has given us.
I say amen to that. Let's kind of delve into it. Now, I always like to start with a fun fact. I had to study your name that you love being called. Then I found out you had another name, which is Mr. Remarkable. And I thought, do you want to shed a little bit of light? How did that happen? Where did that name come from?
Yeah, Mr. Remarkable is actually one of my very popular names. With working with people in different conferences and consulting projects and in my team, with my team members in the different businesses I run, one of my favorite words I get to use, or I used to use a lot when you do something so good, is remarkable, right? Some people say excellent, remarkable, nice, and all of that. And then one of my mantras, my main mantra I always tell myself is, I am rare, I am remarkable, right? I am rare, I am remarkable, or I am different, I'm remarkable. It's a very important mantra to me because growing up as a kid born out of wedlock, I was like the only one in the community at the time. I used to be bullied with words a lot and all of that. When I learned about the power of mantra, that's one of the mantras I developed for myself. I am rare, I am remarkable. And then I use remarkable a lot when you do something great, something nice, something amazing around me. At the time, I think it was 2017 and 18. That's when the name really went viral. We used to run this program where we train young people for 4 months. On-site program. They come on-site 4 months, 3 times a week. And they started calling me Mr. Remarkable from that particular cohort. And the name just went viral. Even conference organizers picked up on the name when they're introducing me. That's the name that they used. And before we knew it, the name went viral across the country. And of course, even across other countries where they get to do their research very well and they discover that I'm called by that name. Yeah, that's the genesis of the name.
Wow, yes, powerful. And I think what I take home and I want my listeners to take home is that, number one, we do find out that sometimes we get labeled and we have a choice to stay with that or to create our own identity. And I'm going to link that to identity. We have an opportunity, we have a choice to decide our own identity. And that is what you've done. I love also, because of the teaching hat that I wear, to give my listeners a piece of homework to say, go find out what are people calling you that you don't want to be called. And what do you want to be called? And start calling yourself that and call it into existence. I think I'll just throw that in. Now, there was another phrase, because again, I've been going around and looking at things. So I can't remember whether you said it, but it was imbibed in what I researched. And it says, the quality of your questions reveal your desire to succeed. The quality of your questions reveal your desires to succeed. Can you unpack that? Can you give us an example of how a good question takes you from A to B?
Let me give an example with friendship. There are some friends that will reach out to you and ask about where the latest party is happening, what you're up to this weekend, what's the latest movie on Netflix, right? That reveals the quality of their desire. So one of the things I do a lot is I rate people, or I assess people based on the type of questions that they ask. Indirectly, you are revealing to me what is important to you. It's the same like if you meet a great person and you are asking for a selfie, it reveals to me what is important in your heart. Another person will meet that same person and may likely ask for counsel, or will likely try to get a way to have a follow-up meeting, or ask one important question that they have been having and is burning in their hearts and they didn't know how to ask that particular person. Because in this society, I always say that either you are a question asker and an answer seeker, or you are a guesswork person and you don't know where you're going to end. And the truth is, the society is for people who know how to ask the right questions, seek the right answers, and execute what they discovered. In the younger generation, you can quickly rate a young person based on the kind of questions they ask or the kind of things that they're curious about. The latest party on the weekend, the latest movies that are trending, who is trending on social media, all of those kind of things reveal the quality of their desire. But if you see somebody asking about what book can I read, or somebody comes to you and asks, Shola, what books do you read as a podcaster? What books do you read as an expert? What kind of networking events can I attend in order to mingle myself in the industry? That reveals the quality of that person's desire. And it's also a self-awareness for myself because the kind of questions I'm asking during that particular week, that particular month, also direct where I am driving my attention and my focus and the kind of things that I get to produce. Because whether we like it or not, we are always asking ourselves questions. Even when you wake up in the morning, what are you going to wear? What are you going to eat? Where are you going to go? What is your focus for the day? And there are some questions that are very subtle. And if you don't pay attention to them, they will quietly redefine your life. And before you know it, when you are closing from work during the evening, instead of some people, based on the questions they ask themselves, they already have maybe a book they're going to read, an article they're going to read, or something relevant and inspirational to do. But another person will be thinking of the movie they're going to watch. Which movie am I going to watch after work? Or what am I going to read after work? Determines the quality of what you desire in the next 5 years, in the next 2 years, in the next 10 years. Am I saying entertainment is not enough? No, it's enough. But when you know the kind of questions you ask and the kind of things that drive you, they redefine the quality of the actions that you take and the habits that you develop, and consequently the lifestyle that you get to build as a person.
Sometimes I ask those daring questions and then I ask myself, because my follow-up on that is that I'm going to start asking some questions. They better be questions that qualify what I am thinking. I'm going to start with your entrepreneurial hat. And for today, so that people could understand the depth and the richness of your journey, I'm going to do a little bit more talking, but literally I'm reading out some of the things from your bio, and then we'll unpack that with a question. So I've read it, but my listeners may not. You're a 7 times founder, and I'm going to ask a question on that 7 times founder, what that actually means. You are the CEO of I think these are abbreviations, COSDF Group Limited. It's a service-based business with 17 employees and subsidiary operations in the financial service, corporate training and consulting, skills training and recruitment services, technology and investment advisory services. I may have answered the question myself, but that is very, very broad and very wide. So I would consider you a serial entrepreneur. So before I also delve into that, in this day and age, you talked about the younger generation. There is this use of business and entrepreneur, a business owner and entrepreneur. If I delve into other things, I want to find out from you, first of all, are they different? And if they are, how are they different to you? And do we need both? Because there's a lot of misconception. Well, I have my own thought process, but I just wanted to hear yours on that based on the multiple things that you have done, are doing at the moment.
There is a difference in a certain way. And the main difference comes from the way of thinking. You see, entrepreneurship is a way of life. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of looking at things. It's the way you process things. It's the way you analyze things. It's the way you understand patterns and perspectives. That's what makes anybody you can call an entrepreneur different. It is possible to be a business person and not be an entrepreneur. Very possible. Many a times, it is also possible to have an entrepreneurial mindset and a way of looking at things, and you don't have the business skills to build a business. There is a possibility of being a good founder and not being a good CEO. To be able to build a business, you need to marry the two together. You need to become an entrepreneur and you need to become a business person. For example, business people sometimes just focus on, am I making money? They can buy and they sell. They can buy and they sell. And that's all. And as long as money is coming in, they don't care about anything else. But an entrepreneur, despite that they're making money, because of the way they are wired and the way they process things and their perspective and the way they like to do things, even if they are making $1 billion every day, tomorrow morning, they will still like to improve something. They will still like to innovate something. They will still like to introduce a new perspective. They will still like to enter a new market. They will still like to do something that they have not done before. Because it's the way they are wired, it's the way they are driven, it's the way they look at life. It's like if they don't venture into something different or do something different, they are not comfortable. That's the main difference. So in order to build a business that will stand the test of time, people need to be entrepreneurial in the way they think, in the way they live, in the way they process information and process the society and look at different patterns and perspectives. That is a good way to really stand the test of time. Because if you look at the companies that are making waves now and even in the last 20 years, you will see that the people behind these companies are more entrepreneurial, right? And if you go back to our parents and to a lot of people, you see that many of the things they were trying to build as businesses, they are not able to stand the test of time or even adapt as far as the economy is changing. The truth is, a traditional business person will actually struggle. For example, let me rephrase it. Anybody who's a traditional business person cannot survive something like COVID-19 because their mindset and the way of life, the way they are wired, they don't know how to adapt. They don't know how to pick out opportunities. They don't know how to process things and all of that. But every entrepreneur will use COVID-19, innovate an entire system, improve on it, make more money in the midst of crisis. Because it's not about the crisis, it's not about the country, it is about the way they are wired and the way they look at everything that comes their way.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Yes, and I don't need to give you anything about what I found because it speaks to it speaks to what I was saying. And the only thing I was going to do was to use COVID-19 as an example, but you've also roped that in. So again, I'm going to give another chunk of who you are, and then I'm going to ask another question. So you're also the founder and president of the Center of Entrepreneurship, Leadership, and Business Management Development, an accredited international center that offers professional skills, training, and development for CEOs, mid-level executives, entrepreneurs, leaders, and young professionals, founded in 2012. It's in Africa. You have trained and certified over 25,000 individuals in 27 countries through both virtual and in-person instruction-led sessions. It gives me an idea of the fact that you have to be an entrepreneur. You have to have a different mindset in order to be able to do that. So my question, you've answered it in a way, but I want to throw it out there because I know there will always be something else to add. What makes a great business that can be classified as a number one or a number two? And I'm taking that cue from Jack Welch that says you can either be a number one and a number two. And how do you aspire to get there? How can you actually get there? And how do you recognize that you are now a number one or a number two? And I'm anchoring that on one of your books that says how to begin from an idea to action. So that's loaded. Yeah. So whatever you can pick out from that, but they're intertwined.
Building a great business really takes a lot of things. Like I said earlier on, to be a successful entrepreneur, you need certain business skills to do that, right? And building a business takes a lot, and it can be different depending on the environment where you're building. So, for example, what an entrepreneur needs to build a great business in the United States may not be the exact same thing that somebody needs to build a great business in Lagos, Nigeria, or in Douala, Cameroon, or in Nairobi, Kenya. At the same time, somebody who, like me, for example, I studied business and commercial education all my life, from secondary school to high school to university to doctorate degree level, and I've been doing business myself. The things I need to build a great business is totally different from somebody who studied sciences to being a medical doctor, and now they're transitioning into building a business. So there are different dynamics depending on the person, the background, the experiences, the idea, the location. A lot of things are into place. And a great business, really, I always tell people, don't define how great your business is by what Forbes is saying or by what a magazine is saying, but define a great business by the purpose that you have. Define a great business by the reason that you started. Define a great business based on the people that you started that business to serve as a person. And that's the most important element to define a great business. So if you are building a business, whether you have 1 million customers or 1,000 customers, as long as you are achieving the main reason why you started that business, which is to solve pain points and help people gain value, and in exchange they pay for it, and you're doing it well and you're advancing and you can measure some particular metrics and you can see growth, right? For example, Jack Welch said that if we are going to the market, it was about them, not about the industry, really, not about the economy per se, but it was about their own metrics that they have established. If we are launching a new product, if we are getting into a new industry or whatever we're doing, our goal is that in that industry, either we are number one or we are number two. And that number one, they may have their own different metrics that they measure what it means for them to be number one. And that's why it's always important for you to have metrics that you have defined as an entrepreneur based on what you want to achieve and what you want to build. However, I have been able to work with different business people across tens and tens of countries and traveled 4 continents to see all of this. But I've come to conclude that anybody who will build a great business needs to have certain foundational things in their lives. Number one is the quality of their mindset. This cannot be overemphasized because you cannot build a great business beyond the quality of your mindset. I always tell entrepreneurs, you need to become in your mind before your business can become. And that's why they always tell people that, if I want to tell you that, if I say you are an accountant, you comes first before the accountant. Accountant depends on you to take perform very well. People need to become. It goes back to goal setting. One of my philosophies about goal setting is that there are many people trying to set goals to achieve goals, but they have not become the people that can achieve the goal. To achieve any goal, become first. Then the achieving becomes easy. For example, you have certain financial goals. Become somebody who is financially literate. Become first. That is why when I'm setting a goal, one of the first foundation is, how long do I need to become? I can set a goal that will take me 5 years to achieve, and I will take 2 years in becoming. That's why achieving goals is not about competition. You need to understand certain things. If my goal is to become whatever across the globe or whatever in a different country, when I set that particular goal, one main subset of that goal setting is, how long do I need to become? Because when I become, achievement becomes very easy. Achievement is difficult for many people because they don't know how to become. So you can set a goal, and part of that goal means that you need to go back to the university, get an MBA, because going through the route of an MBA, you want to become so you can achieve that ultimate goal. I can take you back to God. That is one of the patterns about God, and many people don't like it. God will take you through a process to become before he can give you anything. Joseph had to go through the family, go through the pit, go through Potiphar's house, go through the prison to become before he can be a prime minister. I always fondly say that if you are in the pit, don't conclude very fast, because the palace is waiting for you, but you need to become a prime minister. You need to get the experience and the capacity. So all of this is to experience the place of the quality of your mindset in any entrepreneurial journey. Have you become? And this becoming can take some time. This becoming can include failing in a couple of small businesses and ideas. This becoming can include people backstabbing you. This becoming can include you reading a lot of books. That's why I like to read books about becoming. This is the book I'm reading right now, What It Takes to Be Number One. So I like to read books of becoming. If this man was number one in his field as a coach, what did he do? So I want to read what it takes to become number one. Because when you become, achievement is effortless. You don't struggle to do things that other people struggle. There are in anything that I am doing as a profession, if I get into that thing and I am doing, I'm not going to struggle to do it because I have already become and I'm always becoming. There is no platform you put me to talk, I will lack what to say because I have become and I'm still becoming. There is no question you pose to me in business as far as the business field is concerned that I would not have something to say because I have been becoming and I am becoming in the same process. I always tell a funny story. Before I had my first degree in 2012, and then I had to do a lot of work and all of that before I did my MBA in 2018 or so. But here's something funny. Before I did my MBA and I had a certificate, I had completed 7 MBA programs. I would just go on the internet, if I see any MBA free material, I would challenge myself 6 months, consume this MBA material. Even went to the point where I went to university in UK, and I went to their website and I copied every course it takes to complete an MBA program. Then I went on YouTube. I research every article. If it's organizational behavior, I'll research every article around that, research YouTube videos and watch. That was me doing my MBA program. I started speaking to MBA students and university as guest speaker when I did not have an MBA program. I did not have an MBA certificate or a doctorate degree. So I became somebody who can talk about things like that before the certificate first. So you need to pay the price of becoming and everything becomes easy. Number 2, in being a great entrepreneur, I always say that to go to the next level in your business, find the skills the next level requires. Skill acquisition, upskilling and reskilling is critical for any entrepreneur. If you will build a great business, it will rise and fall on the quality of your skill set. If you are not making sales, you have a sales skills problem. If people don't know you a lot, you have a marketing problem. If people are coming into your business and they are getting the contacts and they are not paying, it means that you don't have the skills to convert in people who have the right intentions to become paying customers. Everything in business is about skills. Whichever country you're listening to this, if you have the right skills, you will succeed in that business in that particular country. So mindset, skill set, and lastly, have this concept that no matter what comes your way, you will find a way out because entrepreneurship will humble you. Things will come your way that you did not expect. challenges will hit you. The day you made up your mind to become an entrepreneur is the same day that you establish a strong relationship with problems. You need to come to a place where you have made up your mind that as an entrepreneur, one of my biggest responsibilities is solving problems. Landlord problems, money problems, embarrassment problems. Problems will come from east, west, north, and south. But as I always say, a true entrepreneur eats problems for breakfast. So when you wake up in the morning, the first breakfast you take as an entrepreneur is to swallow the problems that come your way and solve it.
Wow. Yeah. That's another thing. You never know where the answers are going to come from a question, but that is powerful.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omosola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
And it leads me nicely into one that hasn't been unpacked. I'm going to ask that question because in my world, with Unleash Your Creativity, we have a lot of people who are in that creative business, they're in that creative zone. And I always say that passion is not enough without process. The two are intertwined, my opinion. So my question really is that, has that got anything to do with the implementation of frameworks that you have? Was that something that you noticed? Either way, what is the importance of implementation frameworks and why is it necessary and how do they work?
You see, no matter how passionate you are, how excited you are, how driven you are, if you don't master how to implement, you don't have the strong will to implement, that passion will not produce anything. The zeal will not lead to anything, right? There is this scripture in the Bible I love, in the book of Isaiah, where God was speaking. He said, the zeal to accomplish, right? The zeal to accomplish. I believe in frameworks because frameworks put you in a place where you know exactly what to do and how to do it for you to get that which you want. And even if you are not sure exactly of where you're going to end up, it is different when you really understand that every single day is an opportunity for you to do something that is advancing you. One thing about framework that I like is that even in the wilderness, when you have the right framework, you can still build value and do the right things in the wilderness that when you enter the promised land, you just begin to manifest. Many people don't make good use of their wilderness because they don't even know what to do in the wilderness and how to make good use of the wilderness while preparing for the promised land. You see, the most difficult task in the society is how to think. Many people don't know how to think. For many people, they know what to do, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know the steps to take to do it. Oh, Joybert, I have this idea. I have this. I receive that every day in my DMs. I have this amount of money. Oh, I have this. I've been thinking of this. I used to be passionate about this. But the how to is the challenge for many people. But one thing that I know that I am gifted to do is there is no idea you can share with me. I know that it's a gift that God gave me. There's no idea you can share with me that I would not know how to get it off your head on paper and execute, and you start seeing results. So that is why I design a lot of frameworks. I have frameworks that companies use across the world, in associations use, and communities use for different reasons and different things. I love frameworks because they create that structure and they help people who don't really have the time also to even think thoroughly. And that's why, busy people and CEOs also have experts like us, where sometimes they don't have the time to think through a lot of things. They have pay somebody who knows how to think and is willing to think for them and do that. They have a discussion and they create something to execute that will move the company forward or their vision forward. Frameworks are also important, especially relating to purpose and passion, because nobody pays for passion. No matter how passionate you are, nobody will pay for passion. People pay for passion that has been processed into something they can understand, that has been processed into a service, into a product, into an institution, into an entity. Passion that is not processed is useless to the society. And frameworks help you process that particular passion. For example, if you are passionate about talking to people, it's one thing, but you need to know how to process that passion into a podcast. You need to know how to process that passion into a YouTube channel. And that processing from passion to a podcast can take you 1 year, can take you 2 years, can take you 6 months. What you need now is the right information and the right strategy to process that passion to a product, that passion to an entity, to an institution. Then people can enjoy the passion that you have for that particular industry.
Yes, again, another rounded question, because I know you have 10 that I noticed, it may have been more, that have been used in different places. Before I move on to another aspect, I think one more, actually there are two things, because through our conversation, our previous conversation, you talked about how you were able to take a group of people that you chose, drilled them through a period and through a system, and they were able to meet the target of 1 million, as in the currency that you were talking about. And I hear my listeners going, okay, if it doesn't take me 6 months, if it takes me 1 year, and again, you've talked about process here, that some processes may take this long. What do you say to somebody who feels, okay, I haven't been able to make this within 6 months, I haven't been able to make this within a year? Does that mean I should pack it in? Does that make me a failure? How do you balance that particular conversation with other people's reality?
You see, I always say something funny. I always say that if you see Omosola doing so well in podcasting and you're doing so bad, there is something she knows that you don't know. There is something Dangote knows that many business people don't know. There is something Elon Musk knows that many people do not know. So some people take 5 years to achieve what some people can achieve in a year. And some people can take a year to achieve what some people can achieve in 2 months. The difference is really based on what they know. And number two, which is very important, the kind of resources that they have access to. This is very critical. And this is why I always say that be careful who you are competing with. Be very careful who you are competing with. For example, I was born to a single parent, out of wedlock, to a very poor family. I cannot go to school and I'm competing with a young man who is coming from a stable family, 2 parents, all of them are working, and average income is maybe $200,000 every year. That my classmates were in the same class, same age group, but he has access to resources I don't have access to. Many a times, a lot of people perform better in the same field that you are in, better than you, because of what they have access to that you don't have access to. They can have access to mentors, access to financial resources, access to equipments and tools, access to inside information that you will never see on the internet. They can have access to certain skill set and certain knowledge that you would never see on the internet, except you pay the fee and get into an inner cycle and they show you what they know. Like these young guys that I worked with them, the difference is that they got access to inside information, implementation processes, and things that they will not normally see outside there or in a typical school, in a typical environment. And that's why I spoke about the becoming. Becoming is very critical, because until you become, you can take 10 years to achieve what you can achieve in 2 years. Because you are beating around the bush, doing trial and error, because you have not become. You are trying to achieve with the wrong mindset, the wrong information, the wrong skill set, the wrong network. Everything is wrong, but you are working very hard. That is the difference for a lot of people. So many a times for some people, they may need to take a step back and ask themselves, have I truly become in this path that I have chosen to make as my path as far as destiny and purpose is concerned? Daniel said, I understood by the books. He understood by the books. And when there was a problem, he went back to God to become before he came to solve the problem. Where do you go to in becoming? That's why people have mentors. That's why people have role models, people that they listen to. That's why people have experts that they have on a payroll as their coaches or consultants, because becoming is critical. So if you have been doing something and you notice that you have been doing it for so many years, and you are in the same industry and people of your age group are achieving some results that you are not able to achieve for a certain period of time, you need to check your becoming process. You need to check what they know that you don't know. And you must be willing to pay the price of becoming, because becoming will cost you. It will cost you personally. When I talk about personally, I'm talking about it will cost you sleep, it will cost you comfort, it will cost you entertainment, it will cost you hangout, it will cost you things personally. Secondly, becoming will cost you money. Nobody becomes with free things. Stop trying to be coming with free things. For example, there are a lot of things. My YouTube channel has over 800 videos just on trainings. I don't do entertainment. I only just speak and I post on YouTube, right? And I have more than 200 videos unlisted that I've recorded that will be releasing them on YouTube gradually. But there are things that you will never find me share on YouTube. There are things that I will never share on a podcast session like this because they are inside information. They are strategies. They are frameworks. They are unique things. So there are things that people feel that they can watch YouTube channels, and yes, you can watch those things and they will grow to a certain level of knowledge acquisition and information. But there are certain things that you will need to sit under an expert, under somebody who has done it, who has seen it, who has failed, who has succeeded, and has gone ahead of you. And they will show you things that you would never see on a public platform. So that becoming is critical to do all of that.
You are listening to Unleash Ur Cre8tivity with Omosola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
Fantastic. And I think in a way you may have answered the next question, because you are a great story of people's excuses of it's because of this, I can't do that. If I had this, I would have become that. So you've eradicated all the excuses. So my question to you is, which I think it might be an inside question that you may not answer, that transition from sitting in the class, from selling what you were selling in the class, to now be able to do it as a business, from coming from very humble beginnings to where you are right now. What was that leap, that transition? And when did you really realize that, wow, I have moved beyond having the education, beyond the qualifications? What was that thing that you could, one thing or two that you could get our listeners to say, if you think about this, or if you do this, the transition would be easier or possible, as it were?
Let me re-say it this way. In the journey of manifestation, I always say there is no leap. The best thing you can discover is, what can I keep doing that will advance me to where I want to go? If you talk to Joseph and you ask Joseph, when did the leap happen that you knew that you will become the prime minister of Egypt? He can't tell you. But he didn't know that the brothers hating him, trying to kill him and put him in the pit and selling him to slaves, and him being a chief houseboy in Potiphar's house and all of that was part of the plan, part of the making of who he was supposed to be. And same for me, I cannot really say that there was a particular season that was a leap. But I think that the best thing that happened to me very early on was the discovery of the critical things that are important for my process. For example, one of the best things that can happen to somebody is to discover the daily routines, the daily habits, the daily things that, as long as they keep doing, there is always an advancement. And many a times that advancement may not be outward, it's inward first. Because there are certain things that when you become internally, external manifestation becomes easy. You don't struggle to manifest. I think that the leap for me was when I discovered certain critical things that make great people. Oh, you know what? If you're going to be great, there is a level of expertise you have to command as an expert in your field. If you're going to be great, there is a level of knowledge acquisition that you must develop, and there's a level of knowledge deployment that you must know how to do. If you want to be great, there is a certain level of character you must begin to develop and grow in. There are certain core values and principles you must live by. These are the things that really make the transition to work. It becomes easy to transition when you are ready on the inside. Transition would never be difficult for somebody with the right mindset, the right character, the right habits, the right routine, the right knowledge acquisition system, the right way of deploying things. Transition would never be difficult for that kind of person. Transition will always be difficult for unprepared and ignorant people. It will always be difficult. And success is never overnight. You see, people who experience overnight success don't know how to keep it. But people who grow into success know how to keep it. They know how to remain successful. That is why if you read the research, people who win lotteries don't know how to stay wealthy because they make money overnight. You don't make money overnight because you have no financial structures, financial systems, financial literacy to stay wealthy. But anybody who grows into wealth will likely remain wealthy for the rest of their life because they have grown into it. They have learned certain things in their lives. They have acquired certain wisdom and knowledge and tools and experiences that they know what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And it keeps them wealthy as far as building wealth is concerned. My counsel for anybody is find and establish profitable, productive routines. There's a framework I have for personal coaching that I do with people. Is part of that framework talks about value creation activities. In that element, I say that anybody who will stand the test of time and remain successful, you have identified your value creation activities that as long as you keep doing them every single day, you will remain valuable and you will keep growing for the rest of your life. Nothing can break that. No amount of change and innovation or new entrance to the market can change that. You will keep on growing and you will remain relevant. So the question I have for people is, what is your daily value creation activity? What are those things that even no matter how tired you are, you will do it? Let me tell you something. If you are still that kind of a human being where tiredness still defines some things that you do in your life on a daily basis, you have not become. You have not arrived a place where you are ready for success. There's a level of success manifestation where no matter what is happening, no matter how tired you are, there are certain daily value creation activities that you do. No matter the desert you are in, no matter the prison you are in, there are certain things that you do. The Bible says that Joseph kept on interpreting dreams in the prison. The prison did not stop Joseph from doing that which is his calling or that which is a value creating activity. And here's the good news. It is the practice of his value creation activity in the prison that gave him an open door in the palace. What if he stayed complaining? Say, no, because I am in the prison, I will stop smiling, I will stop interpreting dreams, and I will just be angry with everybody. He would have never opened that door that would have led him to the palace for him to truly now manifest his true defined destiny as a person. So I want to challenge somebody. Identify value creation activities that no matter how tired you are after work, no matter how tired you are after a busy day, no matter how you feel, those activities, you always do them. And to a certain extent, those activities now will even become part of your well-being. Oh yes, even that the day that you are very broken, when you begin to do that thing, you even feel better. For example, one of my value creation activities that I started doing since 2012 to today is that I write at least 300 words of anything as far as the work I do is concerned. I must write 300 words every single day of something. Writing is very powerful. If you read The Art of Writing, look at the benefit of writing to your brain, to how you think, to how you look at life. Writing. So when I notice, you know what, I will start writing every single day. So even when I'm sick, I can describe how I'm feeling in my body and I'll write lessons on how I feel. Life lessons from my sickness. So it makes me better every single day. I don't think anybody can really explain how they truly became successful when you understand this, because you just enter manifestation. If you talk to, I don't know why I'm referring to Joseph's story today, but let's stay with that. Maybe it's the Holy Spirit. If you spoke to Joseph the previous day, that the next day he will be in the palace and the prime minister, he will refuse. That is how manifestation happens. Manifestation will not announce itself. That leap that you spoke about, it will not announce that, oh, Shola, the leap is coming. No. Shola, keep doing what is valuable to your cause and to your destiny. And the day of transition, you will just find yourself there. How did I get here? No, you are here already. You got here because the last 5 years of daily actions that you were taking, they were preparing you for that 1 minute transition that just happened and you thought, wait, my life just changed? Oh yes, your life just changed like that. The challenge of many people is they feel that one day God is going to package their life and give them, my daughter, here's your life, go and succeed. No, he has already given it to you. Take responsibility and convert it to success. That is what he has given you.
Powerful. So if I were going to, just for my listeners to hear what I'm hearing, literally by execution, because that's my new word now, execution, is be ready, be prepared. You never know when transition will take place. But as long as you're doing your daily things, it will catch up with you some way or the other. I could throw something in there which says your gift will make room for you. It will take you before kings and not mere men. So that preparation is almost that. I see that as that transition. At this point, I feel that this is an opportunity to give my listeners going, okay, he's talked about a lot of things. Because when I was doing my research, I subscribed to Wisdom and Wealth Chronicles. And there is people looking, I'm stuck. Maybe there is a starting. And you also have, which I was going to talk about later, you've also got a lot of free information, which is a starting point because it's great information. I don't even see it as a starting point, but it's where to go. Can you just share a little bit before I now move on to another totally different element about your journey on the Wisdom and Wealth Chronicles and why that was important for you to have? And you've got a large number of followings on that particular platform.
Well, it just came from my calling, let me say so. And let me add this phrase here. I always say that the only reason I start businesses is to prove that what I teach works. I don't like entrepreneurship. That's a fact. I don't like being a founder. I don't like being a CEO. My calling is to teach. My calling is to train. This is me. This is me, right? So that's why I'm never excited about really. I am more excited about one person I can inspire than how much money my business is making. The Wisdom and Wealth Chronicles was established from the place where I felt that I have a lot to share. And most importantly, my work positions me in a place where I get exposed to a lot of experiences. The kind of problems people bring to me and talk about speaking engagements, meeting different people every single day, solving different challenges. I get to experience a lot from the traveling. I see funny cultures. I see a lot of things happening. The best way to document and share these experiences is through the newsletter, and the newsletter has the same name with the one-man podcast show that I do, where I just sit and I chit-chat with different things and I share with the community. But the goal is just to have that platform where I can share experiences, I can share context, I can share concepts, I can share free information. Like I say, I write every day, and most of the things I write every day, I convert them to blog posts and newsletter posts, and then I share with people. And I've had incredible feedback from different countries, some people that read. So the concept is just another avenue to keep sharing that which God has given to me to share as far as his gift of teaching is concerned that he has given me. Yeah.
You are listening to Unleash Ur Cre8tivity with Omosola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
And again, I like the way it goes because every time you do a leading into my next, because you talked about teaching and talking in different places, and I want to just quickly look at your global presence. But I'm going to link your global presence with your awards. So then I'm going to ask some questions. And again, this is for my listeners to have an understanding of some of the things that you have done. You are a productivity speaker, trainer, consultant, and entrepreneur with over a decade of experience, individuals and corporate structures in multiple countries, including the United States, EUA, Dubai, South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and more. You've also talked about, you're giving your audience and your clients with practical solution and tools, hence the framework. You have over 35 awards. I'm not even going to start naming all of them, but I'm going to name a couple and then I'm going to ask my question. You've got the Queen's Young Leader Award runner-up in 2018, Mandela Washington Fellowship at the Clark Atlanta University, USA. You've got the Class of 100 Most Influential Young Africans. You've got the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneur, Obama Foundation African Leader, the Young African Entrepreneur of the Year, the Mastermind African Awards Speakers of the Year, Forbes Business Council nominee, and it goes on. You said to me the other time that when I was introducing, you felt, oh, is this the person? Is it really me they're talking about? And I hadn't even started listing all of this. So my question is, it's a multiple question. I'm going to put them together and then for you to flow with them. Is first of all, what has those awards done for you? Because again, we're not defined by awards. Awards are a spin-off of what has happened. What impact has that had on you as a person? And what impact has that enabled you to do with what you do? Because you talked about influence. So what has that enabled you to do? And again, was there anyone as a child we dream? Was there anyone in particular that you thought, that would be nice to have? And faith or your work and what you've done has enabled that to happen?
Let me start with the second question. I started my work in a semi-urban town known as Kumbu in the northwest region of Cameroon. And at the time, let's say 2010, 11 and all of that, we used to have, sometimes we'll have electricity like 4 hours in a day. It was ration and all of that. And that time, social media in Cameroon was not as it is today. And of course, I didn't have a phone that can go on the internet at the time. What I'm trying to say is that I did not anticipate any of this. I didn't know that what I was doing at the time will get me here. Let me say it that way. I didn't know because I did not grow up in the city. You see, I grew up in the village. I'm a typical village boy. The first time I saw many cars in my life and electricity was in 2002 when I went to secondary school. So I'm a village boy who, by God's grace, God made him who he is today, right? So I did not start knowing that, let me start this so that as I keep doing this, I will end up here. I will end up on BBC, Voice of America, the things, all these platforms I've been interviewed and the works that I've done. No, none of that was the primary reason, because I did not know they existed, because I did not grow up in the internet environment at the time where it was like now. It's easier for my daughter to go on the internet and see a lot of things. This guy can achieve this, so it means I can also achieve this. I did not see things like that. I just had the passion, and I think that's where that's where the purpose of God comes in and his gifting comes in. I just had the passion to transfer knowledge. I just had the passion to, when I experience something, I am just so good at crafting my experience into lessons, and then I teach other people. I'm so just good at, I can read a book and I say, this book is so good. And I'm very good at contextualizing what I read to fit you that I'm talking to. It all started by gathering young people in my church, in my community. And then when I started teaching in high school, I would get the young people and teach them on life things and goal setting and time management. That was how it all started. And again, as I always say, every vision is progressive. So as I kept on doing that, I kept on learning, I kept on exposing myself. Now I learned about social media in the process, and then I started sharing my work that I was doing, training young people. When I trained them, at that time, I now got a phone that has a camera, an Android phone. I will now snap and then come on Facebook at the time. I will share on Facebook and write a couple of comments and share. As I kept on writing now, people in the immediate community started inviting me to speak to their own groups, and churches started inviting me to speak to youth groups in different churches. From there, it expanded to another city called Bamenda. They started inviting me. From Bamenda, started inviting me to the capital city. And so it kept on expanding like that. And thank God for social media. Other countries started seeing that, inviting me. That was how it all grew up to get to where it is today. And the awards came to, again, I didn't know something like they used to do awards. I grew up as a village boy. Did I know that there was something known as red carpet and all? I had no idea of things like that. I only stumbled into them in the course of the work, right? I had no idea. There were things like they organized conference and award ceremonies. I didn't know things like that existed. I only stumbled in the process. Unlike now in this generation where young people now, they can see so many things on social media and they can learn from easily and they can adapt with them. So it was just something progressive, and the leading of the Holy Spirit and God leading me and the gift of friends that I met along the way and all of that. And that is why the awards that I've won and the recognitions, maybe by different magazines and newspapers and award bodies. The other time when I was checking something, I just noticed that they documented over 40-something awards and recognitions from different organizations around the world. But all of that in the society, going to your first question, I think the benefit, which is something that is important, like in the work that I do, is there is something known as due diligence. When an investor wants to invest in a startup, they do due diligence. When another body wants to work with you, they do due diligence. One of the beauty of awards is that it minimizes the level of due diligence that some bodies will do about you, that some individuals will do about you. Why? Because whether we like it or not, credibility is critical in the work that we do. As a professional, as an entrepreneur, credibility is critical. When they see that, oh, based on the work that you do, this organization once recognized you, that automatically collapses an amount of doubt about you. That's the beauty of our words should not make you feel that you are great. Our words should not make you feel that you have 10 heads. Our words should not give birth to pride. Let our words be part of to me, every award I have won, to me, is part of my credibility tools. It's part of the tools that I use to help have good due diligence when people want to relate with me, or they want to call me to come and speak, to come and consult, or to do anything that is worthwhile, because nobody likes to deal with a fake person. It's an internet society. Nobody likes to deal with somebody that, is not worthwhile. So that credibility comes in, which is very important in the work that we do and in the society where it is easy for people to fake and tell stories that are not true and capitalize on the distance that the internet, gives us and all of that. To me, awards to me are credibility tools. Awards to me are platforms and tools that I use to collapse doubt when somebody wants to work with me, especially when they want to do their due diligence. That is how I use and I work with awards.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omosola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
Fantastic. That has given food for thought. And if I'm going to look at one word that is practicable for people who says, well, I don't have an award, I don't have this, I don't have that. One of the takeaways for me is visibility, because whatever you do, if it's not visible, nobody can see what you're doing. And a lot of us certainly have been guilty of that, saying, I'm a private person. But that means you are limiting the scope of what people can see that you're doing. And again, it's not reaching out. And I think that was one of the great things that COVID did, the pandemic. The pandemic, for a lot of some people, for me in particular, social media was an add-on. It was not a necessity. But with the pandemic, a lot of things became a necessity as opposed to. And that is where visibility became more apparent, and the power of visibility, because it's visibility that leads to people noticing what you're doing. It leads to the impact, and then it now leads to the recognition. That is my take home, and I'm hoping that my listeners are taking that away, and all of us that are undercover start becoming a bit more visible in the industry. And I think what I would do is that I would take that particular thought into LinkedIn. I'll take that, because we could say that is a powerful tool where for me, it has proven to be a powerful tool, because that was how I connected with you. And I'm going to tie this into you being a thought leader, because both of them, there is some similarity, because again, credibility, which is the Thinkers 360, identified you as that. So a lot of words in the season that we are thrown around because we can. What is a thought leader, and how do you marry that with you being a 5-time LinkedIn top voice? Because again, it's about being able to speak, it's being able to be recognized. What are your thoughts on that?
Thought leadership to me is about people who are comfortable at being willing to introduce concepts, disrupt existing concepts and systems, and they just bring in something additional to what is already existing, because the society is driven by ideas. We are ruled by ideas. Like Miles Monroe once said that we are ruled by dead people, because there are principles that we are practicing today. The original founder of HP computer, Dell computer, is dead, right? But we are still using their products today. So thought leadership is about you being willing and being ready and being comfortable, even to the extent where you are ready to be embarrassed and you're ready for people to laugh at you because of your willingness and readiness to introduce a concept or a new concept or improve an existing concept. Thought leadership is your willingness where you so much believe that you have something to offer, that you can design something and give people to use and execute and achieve something. Thought leaders are disruptors. Thought leaders are contributors. Thought leaders add something. Thought leaders bring in a lot of things to the table that others can use and achieve that which they want to achieve as far as their careers and their businesses are concerned. To me, people with different organizations that have given me recognitions and awards as a thought leader in different niches and industries, it is all based on contribution. It is all based on the things I have shared and recommendations and, of course, endorsements from different people. But the LinkedIn Top Voice is one of LinkedIn platforms where they are intentionally introducing a concept where experts can contribute to existing topics. When you contribute expert thoughts and other professionals on LinkedIn value your thoughts by liking and agreeing what you say, the more they like and agree with you, then LinkedIn now recognizes you. Oh, this guy is an expert or this woman is an expert in this based on the things that they share around a particular topic and all of that. So they now give you that badge, which on LinkedIn is something special because, again, to me, I use it for credibility purposes. I use it to minimize due diligence. Again, because somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn, they will definitely read my bio and my profile and all of that. There are things that when they see, it reduces certain amount of doubt and they start dealing with you, because it takes a level of trust. It takes a level of trust for somebody to reach out to you from another continent and talk to you and be comfortable to send you money. They know nobody from your background. They don't know your mother. They don't know your father. They don't know your uncle. They don't know your best friend. They have zero idea of your address, where you even live. But they pay you for you guys to do a deal together or work together. That's the power of things like that when it comes to social media. It collapses certain doubts and it establishes credibility for people to work with you. That is that relationship. And I think that anybody can be that. The difference is the commitment. The difference is the responsibility. The difference is the willingness to pay the price to become that and to stay being that.
Wow, I'm looking at the time. So I'm going to really collapse a couple of things because I really want to get them in. But I also, as I've said along the way, is I really want my listeners to be able to listen to my other shows that talks about what people are doing, the practical element, and use what they're taking from these in order to fuel what they can now do. I looked Absolutely. At you, obviously you talked about being a trailblazer, which is somebody who stands out. But I just really wanted to read this out, again, captured in your bio, that you are a thought leader who has spoken at over 1,700 events in the last 12 years. You've consulted with more than 800 medium-sized and corporate institutions. You've authored over 700 plus published personal development and business articles, creating 150 high-impact career and business transformation courses in both text and video formats with over 12,000 monthly users. So I just wanted to put that out there because, again, you were talking about credibility. You were talking about the fact that hearing this, reading this, and knowing that this is truth will make people and that was what drew me towards you to say, wow, there is a lot of substance that needs to be articulated. I want to just do a little detour and ask the question, balance. We've talked a lot about many things, and all of these things, one element in itself, somebody can run with that element their whole life and still not be able to contain. You've been able to do so many things, and you talked about your daughter, which tells me that there's your family. How do you balance? Because we hear the word overwhelm, we hear the word, there's another word that I can't remember right now, but is embraced in working so, burnt out. How do you remain balanced in all of the things that you do and not get overwhelmed? Is there any tip you would like to leave with my listeners of how they can balance on that journey and succeed, or kind of have an all-rounder, if to put it that way?
I would say the concept of balance sometimes is different for people who are entrepreneurs or self-employed and all of that. They can do what they want. And of course, balance for people who are workers and they need to follow a particular time they must be at work and leave work and all of that. It can be different for them. But for me, one of the things about balance that I got very early on is stop trying to separate a lot of things. Just involve everything into one. So I am not separating my wife from what I'm doing. I am bringing her into it, so that even if we're traveling for an event, we are going together. Even though for me to speak in an event, I have my wife with me. I'm enjoying marriage along together. One of the things I've written down to do is actually that when my daughter will enter high school, her summer holidays, she will be my PA. That's one of the things I've written down to do. When my daughter enters high school, summer holidays, she's going to be my PA. I just wanted to get the experience of seeing the work that her daddy is doing. And if she picks an interest in any area, that's good. But let her be involved in the whole thing, right? Let me shift a bit to spiritual life. Because I was watching a message, and this great woman of God, Stephanie Ike, she was saying that many women get to complain that though they don't have a lot of time to spend with God and all of that because of kids and all that. She said, bring them in. When you want to pray, bring them in, let them sit together. Even if they are there and they're trying to make noise, let them know, keep teaching them that, look, this time is time for prayer. To you, it may be as if, there's disturbance, but God recognizes that this moment is the moment that you fellowship with Him and you're bringing your family together. And you never know how amazing kids can be, that they will start adapting to you. Right? So she said, carry the baby into your prayer room. Tell them, hey, kids, there's a time called prayer. Teach them about prayer. Let them know. Tell them the words they can start saying in the place of prayer and get them involved. So I think that people struggle to balance because they try to separate a lot. So I think the goal should be, how do we keep bringing them together? How do we keep making them one as individuals? If you are a worker, find a way to stop trying to see that, oh, my work is work and my family is family. How do you merge them together? Because you are one person, and when you're too divided, you would definitely feel overwhelmed and definitely burn out. But my encouragement is keep finding ways that you can, bring them all to one. And lastly, one thing about this balance that I've also noticed is that a lot about time management is important. People can talk about being burned out and overwhelmed and balanced, but if you analyze their activities, if you analyze their daily things that they focus on, you will see that they have a lot of time that they give to things that don't matter. For example, social media scrolling, maybe watching long TV shows and all of that. But at the same time, they'll feel as if, I am overwhelmed at work and all of that. Meanwhile, the things that your mind is consuming don't empower your mind or give your mind the capacity to take certain things as far as life is concerned. Because the quality of your mind too also affects how, let me rephrase it this way. When it comes to burnout and well-being, it has a lot to do with your mind. So the quality of your mind will also determine the level of burnout that you get. So if you have a strong, resilient, inspired, courageous mind, you cannot get the same burnout like somebody whose mind is filled with a lot of trash, a lot of dung, a lot of things that don't empower them. Burnout for that person, oh my goodness, will be ruthless more than somebody whose mind is well cultured, well trained, well developed, is being fed. It's called information. What enters you forms you. Information. What enters you will always form you. So I have also learned that when it comes, because I have people that I talk to about their minds, about this burnout, about this feeling overwhelmed, feeling as to give them all of that. But when I talk to them, I see that, oh my goodness, what they have in their mind is a lot of trash. It's a lot of things that don't make sense. Like I was talking the other time about how you go to bed and how you wake up from bed. That was where I discovered that thing. Because if you go to bed, it just like, how do your mind take it? Some people have TV in their room. They switch off a TV show and then they sleep. Your mind has consumed nonsense for the last 2 hours, and then you go straight to bed. Come on, in less than no time, you'll be burned out and you'll be overwhelmed. But I challenge somebody listening to this for the next 30 days. Challenge yourself that 1 hour to your bedtime, do only inspired things. Do it for 30 days. You will see how different your life will be and how you wake up not being tired. Challenge yourself and do this. That, okay, 1 hour to bed. You know what? I'm going to watch, maybe you can watch a YouTube teaching, a YouTube motivational video. You can read a book of 15 minutes, read the Bible for 30 minutes, but do only inspired, challenging things. Then go to bed. Do it for 30 days. Wake up from bed. Don't go on the internet. For parents, don't shout. Don't just wake up and start shouting at your kids. Oh, Junior, do this. People just wake up with shouting. No. Discipline yourself and refuse to shout. Wake up and do something beautiful. Wake up, pray, read a book, listen to a teaching, listen to something inspiring. If you have a husband, a wife, when I do my morning routine after prayers and all of that, my wife knows the next thing I'm doing as I go online, or since we're always mostly apart because of travel and all of that, then I talk to the person that makes me the happiest. So I start my life like that. I don't know in the last how many years, I don't know what it means to really be broken or to be born out, overwhelmed and all of that. And I believe that apart from the help of the Holy Spirit, apart from the power of the word and the scriptures, because for Christians, they know this. The Bible says the word washes us. As you spend time on the word, it will wash your mind every single time. But apart from the help of the Holy Spirit, the word, please, how you go to bed, because sleep is spiritual. Please start treating sleep as a spiritual activity. There are some prophets that if they don't sleep, they will not see visions. That's how spiritual sleep is. So if you know that your sleep is spiritual, treat it with respect and honor. Treat it with respect and honor. You'll see a difference in how you even live life. And even some people, you will know how to solve problems better because your wisdom will increase. Your wisdom will increase. Because what you go to bed with and what you get out of bed with contribute to the quality of your mindset and how you look at life.
Wow. So as I said, it's a crash program. I'm looking at the time. So what I'm going to do is, again, this ties really nicely, is that I'm not even going to ask you to tell me about them because, again, you wear the hat of an author. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let people know that if they want to find out more about what you've just spoken about, I'm looking at the titles of your book. I haven't read them, but I'm looking at the titles of your book that says Life, Career and Business Growth Questions. And for me, I look at that and I feel I might be wrong, but from that title alone, it weaves the combination of what we've just spoken about. And I feel that if we go there, we would or may definitely find some answers. And then the other one, in that entrepreneurial hat, you said 35 days of redefining you for success. So I'm looking forward to going to buy these books and read them because I feel that it will respond to the question. But if you can, talk to me very briefly about from average to unforgettable, because I think everything we've spoken about is woven into the books that you've got. So I'm just saying these are gems, but just briefly talk to me about that particular book, From Average to Unforgettable.
The book came from, I was speaking in the conference somewhere and somebody used that term on me because based on my life story, I don't know if I shared in the first episode, throughout primary school, I was always the worst performing student. You know, like they say, the last in class. Throughout primary school,
wow, no,
I was the worst performing student. That means if there were 20 people in class and they do the grading, I'll be number 20. That they call the last in class. In secondary school, in the Cameroon education system, like most African countries, you must have 10 average and above for you to be considered to have passed, to have performed well. I have never passed an exam in secondary school. I was always promoted on trial. Like, okay, we see that you have potential, so let us promote you. And secondly, my mom was not in school as a single mom who was struggling. So one teacher told me that we are promoting you so your mom don't pay school fees 2 times, because I was always sent away from fees, right? So even during the GC levels, one teacher came and told me that I had 3 close friends who were standing. He came and said, the 2 of them will pass, but you will fail, right? So I was never, a lot of things in my early life, made me to believe I'm average. I was not the best. And I was never considered, I never bothered to do anything extraordinary because there are things I cannot do per se. So that book, From Average to Unforgettable, is just me trying to explain in detail certain things that I started doing that made me from being that person I just explained quickly, randomly, very fast, into being somebody who has traveled nations to speak and leaders and company owners listen to. So from an average young boy to an unforgettable professional per se, that's the concept of the book. I just shared a couple of things, and the book is divided into days. It's divided into 90 days. So talking about things that you should do every single day for 90 days, so that you can start your journey of moving from average to being unforgettable in whatever you do. Whatever names they have called you, whatever failures you have gone through, whatever messed up you have gone through, I can guarantee you can leave that place to become unforgettable in whatever God has called you to do. You can. And many people did that. God did that with so many people, so he can also do that in your life. But the goal is take the responsibility and you will see a lot of difference.
You are listening to Unleash Ur Cre8tivity with Omosola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
Wow. All I can say there is that was Holy Ghost inspired, because out of all of them that I see not, and then I chose that one for you to have a conversation around. That is amazing. Now, for my listeners to really know that they're here and it is really Unleash Ur Cre8tivity, one question I ask all my guests is, what is their definition of creativity? Because it means different things to different people. What does creativity mean to you?
To me, it's individuality. That's why I look at creativity. If Omosola stays Omosola and bring her star to the table, that's creativity. If you tap into how you grew up, you tap into your daily experiences, you tap into your parents, and you tap into your village, you tap into everything concerning you. You will bring, we all are creative. The day you lose your creativity is the day you lose your individuality. If you want to start being like Joybert or somebody you follow, you are no longer a creative person. Every human being on earth is creative as long as you tap into your individuality. Don't try to change your voice to sound like an American or somebody from UK. Why are you doing that? Tap into your individuality. Why are you trying to, run away from your childhood and claim that you are from this, you are not born in Nigeria, you are born in the UK because you want to fit in? You are losing creativity. There is no part of my journey I will not proudly talk about. None. Because I know that in my individuality, in my unique experiences, I will bring something to the table that you will not find on Google. The day you start copying, you start trying to be like everybody else, nobody will have need to listen to you. If I've spoken in thousands of events and all of that, I have thousands and thousands of videos. You will always hear something that is different and unique. You always hear concepts that are unique that you will not find on Google from me, because those concepts are created from my individuality, from my experiences, from my journey, from my style, from my mindset. I was speaking somewhere, due to our different, like for us in Africa, due to our different mother tongues and our local languages, we don't pronounce the same English words the same.
Yeah.
And so I was speaking somewhere, I think it was in one of these cities in the US, and somebody said, no, I said, I'm not changing it. You came to the wrong, you're advising the wrong person. You're advising the very wrong person. How do they call it again? My accent stays original as how it grew up to be. And you cannot measure my intelligence on English language. I don't think in English. I think in my local language, and I'm proud of that. So you want me to lose my individuality and my creativity so that I can sound like you? That's the biggest lie they have sold to us, especially Africans. Be proud of your African journey. Be proud of where you're coming from. Be proud of how you grew up. Be proud of where you went to. Be proud of your schools that you went to. Be proud of every single experience that you went through, because in those lies your creativity. If not, there's no difference between you and ChatGPT.
Fantastic. What a way to land the plane. For respect of your time, our time is up based on what you've allocated. Where can we find you if people want to find out more about you? I know if we Google your name, we can. But just for the record, just in case somebody now is going to transfer into doing that just because they heard the show, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on any social media platform, Javnyuy Joybert or Joybert Javnyuy, depending on whatever works for you. You can find me on my website, joybert.com. But on LinkedIn is the best place to find me. And on LinkedIn, you can also subscribe to my newsletter on my profile. That way you will get information when I have a lot of free seminars and free webinars on Zoom with people in my community. You can join and you'll be part of that. And also when I announce free master classes or even paid master classes and frameworks training on anything, business, career growth, and of course, monetizing your skills and your talents and converting what you're gifted into an institution. Those are the things that I do a lot. Please feel free to do that. And of course, we will stay in touch. I reply to all my messages personally. I don't have a PA. So if you're talking to me, if you're writing on any social media platform, you're talking to me directly and I will respond to you directly.
I've experienced that. And on that note, I really just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for buying time to be here. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I will be listening to this over and over again once it becomes a podcast because it is a condensed study in itself. So thank you for your time. And I look forward to connecting with you beyond this some way, sometime.
Definitely.
So to my listeners, again, before I even say that, is there any final thought? Is there anything you want to throw out there? Is there anything you want to say whilst we're on air before we shut down?
Well, the only thing, I will say two things that are important. I always say that in whatever you do, make sure that you're willing to pay the price to be the best that you can be because God created you and embedded into you the ability to dominate in whatever you can do. And number two, in every single thing that you do, let God be at the center of it. God is looking for more righteous people in different places in the marketplace. God is looking for people that will advance his agenda and his will. I always say that if God is not at the center of it, I am not interested because God is all about God. The Bible says that we were created for his pleasure. So your true purpose is truly discovered when you are living for the pleasure of the King of Kings. So let God be at the center of it. In whatever you do, your relationship with God is primary and it's critical. You become a better husband because you know God. You become a better father because you know God. You become a better mother, a better wife, a better entrepreneur, a better everything because you are in God, because you are an active partaker of the divine nature and God is in you by his Spirit. So hold that strong. If you can lose everything, but you have God, trust me, you have not lost anything at all because he has the power to restore, to give whatever you lost and give you double and of course, much, much better. God bless you and let him keep leading you.
Thank you so much. On that note, I'm just going to say to my listeners, bye for now and see you next week.
You have been listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omosola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.